Hello students, welcome to La Excellence. Welcome to our 11th weekly magazine session where we'll be focusing from 7th May to 13th May 2017. And the essay for the week is A Winner is a Dreamer Who Never Gives Up. After that, the first important topic is actually associated with not only geography but also associated with environment and ecology. That is Namami Ganga, which is actually planning to revive through rebranding. Whenever we talk about branding, we actually have to come across the attitude change in the people, and we need to move from the role of only government, which is actually aiming to clean the Ganga, to actually ensuring that even participation of the people and community is very important to clean the Ganga. Here, for this participation, they are actually planning to go for certain programs like Ganga Jyoti Yatra, which is also similar to Olympic Torch Run. And they also have certain ambassadors like Sachin Tendulkar and others who will be present there along with the Yatra to create awareness about this particular mission. And they think that if at all you need to clean this, it is not only the responsibility or it is not just possible by the governments, but also the public involvement is very important. The news about this was only with respect to the campaign about this, but whenever we come across something of this sort, we also have to recollect some of the important information with respect to the project as well. So the first important thing that we need to see about the Namami Ganga is, when did it actually start? It was started by Union government in June 2014 with a budget outlay of 20,000 crores. And the main objective of this was effective abatement of pollution, conservation and rejuvenation of national river Ganga. But unfortunately, it is very difficult that in the last 3 years, we have not achieved much in this particular field. Even the Supreme Court has recently told that nothing has been done when it comes to Namami Ganga project. The reason for this is there is multiple complexities that are actually involved in cleaning the river. Some of the main pillars of the Ganga project was: 1. Sewage treatment infrastructure. Most importantly, the focus has to be in preventing the sewage water entering into the river. Then about the riverfront development, some developmental activities, it may be with respect to cleaning and also with respect to tourism, there should be some development activities. And also we have to ensure that the water is present throughout in such a level so that we can use it for waterways as well. Then you have surface cleaning, river surface cleaning. Biodiversity has to be protected. Afforestation, public awareness, which we are actually talking about through the program that I spoke just now. Industrial effluent monitoring, which is one of the major problems we can actually see once Yogi Adityanath became Chief Minister. You might have heard that he has shifted some of the industries which are actually closer to the river, right? So these things are very important to ensure that you will not see pollution. Cleaning is one aspect, but if we have to continue to maintain the cleanliness forever, then the sewage, industrial effluents, all other things needs to be protected, right? So it's very important for us to look into these aspects. Then it is important for us to look at recognizing the multi-sectoral, multi-dimensional and multi-stakeholder nature of Ganga Rejuvenation Challenge, the key ministries which are involved in this. I want you to remember the ministries which are actually part of this. High possibility UPSC may ask you a question about the ministries. Water resource, Ganga rejuvenation, environment, forest and climate change, shipping, tourism, urban development, drinking water and sanitation and rural development have been working together. High possibility they may ask you, which of the following ministries are actually part of Namami Ganga project? Along with this project, there are certain other programs associated with Namami Ganga. One is Nirmal Dhara, ensuring sustainable municipal sewage management. As I have clearly told you, one of the most important aspects is to reduce the sewage effluents moving into the river. We have also talked about the Swachh Yug, where we were focusing about the villages which are actually present along the Ganga river should be open defecation free. So all these schemes are very, very important. And when we are talking about municipal sewage management, then Ministry of Urban Development comes into picture. Then there will be certain incentives given to the states to take up projects just to ensure that this sewage infrastructure is available for them. Then we have uniform standards for both Ministry of Urban Development scheme and Namami Ganga program, and 10 years mandatory O&M by the same service provider at par with NGRBA program, and PPP mandatory reuse of treated water. Whenever we actually take any ministry website and look at these aspects, they clearly mention about these points. That is, they talk about certain mandatory things, ministries and the programs, whether it is a public body or it is only done by the state government or it is done by both state and the private sector. All these informations are not required, but unfortunately, sometimes, as you are aware, when UPSC gives you, consider the following statements with respect to Namami Ganga, 1, 2 and 3, and the third point will be usually this which you will not be aware of. Right? That is the only reason why we have given this, but high possibility you may not get a question about this. Second important thing is actually with respect to Nirmal Dhara, managing sewage from rural areas. We saw about managing sewage from urban areas. We have to look at managing sewage from rural areas as well. So this is also a very important project. Then you have Nirmal Dhara, managing industrial discharge. As I have already told you, industrial effluence needs to be reduced. For that, we are actually making zero liquid discharge technique mandatory. What exactly is it? Zero liquid discharge is a water treatment process in which the waste water is actually purified and recycled. Here, the purification happens to such an extent that at the end of the cycle or the end of the treatment cycle, nothing will be discharged. There will be zero discharge. That's why it is called zero liquid discharge. It is an advanced water treatment method that includes ultrafiltration, reverse osmosis, evaporation, crystallization, and fractional electro-deionization. Right? Not required, but if at all in prelims they may ask you a question about this. What is zero liquid discharge? It is associated with what? You should know that it is associated with sewage treatment. Right? So these are some of the points that we need to remember with respect to Namami Ganga. Then the next important issue is actually with respect to Dalits, Adivasis and Muslims are worst off according to the report, which actually talks about Indian exclusion report. Whenever we say about exclusion, here we have to come and observe what exactly they are talking about, which are the factors they are actually considering. The first one is pensions for the elderly, digital access, agricultural land and legal justice. In these aspects, it is said that Dalits, Adivasis and Muslims are worst off. So least possibility they may ask you about this, but whenever you are writing about any essay with respect to some of these groups, then you can actually use this data. Else, UPSC will not ask you a question from this. Then from history and culture point of view, what is more important is Prime Minister actually attends United Nations Vesak Day in Sri Lanka. Here we need to know something about this particular day. This was not important till now, but as the Prime Minister has attended this, that too in the month of May, so high possibility you may get a question about this. So we tried to see what exactly is this day. The United Nations in its website, they have clearly talked about the significance of this, and we have actually copied that particular content and we have given you in the same language, just to ensure that whenever you are going through these particular topics, usually when questions come in the same language, you will be able to answer it better. So let's see what are some of the points that we need to remember. Vesak in Sinhalese, Veshakha in Pali, Vaishakha in Sanskrit is the name used for the second month in Sri Lankan traditional moon calendar or lunar calendar. They may ask you, Sri Lanka follows which calendar? Which corresponds with the month of May in the Gregorian calendar or solar calendar, right? So least possibility they may ask you, but still, please try to know these facts. Then, what is it associated with? It was on the full moon day in the month of Vesak. Prince Siddhartha was born, became enlightened and attained Mahaparinibbana. As you are aware, the full moon day is very, very important for Buddhists, mainly because three important things happened. One, the Buddha was born, he became enlightened and he attained Mahaparinirvana, right? The significance of Vesak lies with the Buddha's teaching of cessation of suffering and universal peace to all. It is a message to urge followers to do that which is good and to turn away the evil, right? And when we are talking about the three important things, we also have to locate some of the important factors and places associated with Buddha. Vesak is associated with three important locations of Buddhist history. Lumbini in Nepal, the birthplace of Prince Siddhartha. Bodh Gaya, Buddha Gaya, Bihar state in India, where the Buddha attained the most exalted enlightenment under a Bodhi tree. Kushinagar in Uttar Pradesh, where Buddha attained Mahaparinirvana. These factual informations which are actually there in the UN Vesak Day is very, very important. Then from 1999 onwards, this is being celebrated. Guys, so these factual informations are very, very important for us. Then the next important thing is, as you are aware, China is actually planning for the Belt and Road Initiative or One Belt, One Road. And China is also planning to go for the Maritime Silk Route. In all these cases, Silk Road, whenever it is actually planning, Japan and other countries are also willing to counter along with India. And everyone is planning, and India is proposing indirectly to counter this through the North-South corridor, and they say it can actually pass through the Chabbar port. So Japan has actually shown interest in the Chabbar port. So let's see some of the geographical things which are associated with the Chabbar port. So the first thing is, Chabbar is situated on the Makran coast of the Sistan and Baluchistan province of Iran and is officially designated as a free trade and industrial zone by Iran's government. Similar to our SCZs, Iran has designated Chabbar as the free trade and industrial zone, and India has got access to it, from where India can reach to Afghanistan. Now, with the help of other countries like Japan, US and many others which may follow in future, we may actually plan for the North-South corridor. As I have told you, this is an year which is actually talking about the connectivity with different countries. It is more about the trade routes. Transportation has actually taken the center stage today. Because of this, there is high possibility UPSC may actually ask you a question. With respect to this, they may ask you which country neighbors which country. They may ask you to talk about the neighboring countries. They may ask you to arrange from west to east, east to west countries or their capitals, or north to south. Or they may ask you simply, which of the following countries border Iran? Which of the following countries border Afghanistan? So this become important for us. This is the reason why I'm telling you. Every year, the focus in international relations will be around certain points. And this year, it is mainly about the corridors. So we have to be careful about these corridors this year. Then, due to its free trade zone status, the city has increased its significance in international trade. The overwhelming majority of the city's inhabitants are ethnic Baluch who speak the Baluchi language. Interestingly, the CPEC, which actually joins from Kashgar to Gwadar port, and the Gwadar port is also in Baluchistan. The Chabbar port is also in the Baluch dominant areas. So this is actually very interesting factor that this is benefiting the Baluch region in one way or the other way across the world, right? So about Chabbar port, it's very important for us to look geographically. So the next important issue is actually with respect to Justice Karnan. You might have come across this in the newspaper. As you're aware, he was actually threatening the Supreme Court judges, and the Supreme Court judges has actually asked to arrest him. So here, when we actually look at this particular incident, we come to know that apart from impeachment, there is no other procedure for judicial discipline. UPSC will not ask you what measures should be taken for judicial discipline, but they may ask you about the impeachment. So from polity point of view, it is very, very important for you to look at impeachment of judges. One, you have to look under what or constitutionally when can they be impeached. And the second important thing is the procedure. So where you have to look how many people from Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha should go and say that this person has to be impeached. And then the chairman or the speaker has to accept it. Then he should be given some time, he can come and represent. Once it is passed with special majority by one house, it will be sent to the second house. All these information with respect to impeachment can be asked. So guys, please be careful. It's very, very important for you to read about impeachment of judges. Then the next important issue, as I told, is actually with respect to One Belt, One Road or Belt and Road Forum for International Cooperation, where several countries actually participated to be part of this One Belt, One Road of China. And India has actually told that it don't want to be part of this, mainly because the One Belt, One Road of China is passing through India's POK or India's territory, which is Pakistan's occupied Kashmir. And considering India's sovereignty issues, India has said that any connectivity between the world, between countries, whenever it is actually happening, it is very important for other countries to realize that it shouldn't be against the sovereignty of the countries. At that point of time, China actually talked about the Panchasheel, which actually says that one should not interfere into the internal matters of other countries. So OBOR is very, very important this year. And from geography, they may ask you with respect to the places and all, which we'll be seeing in geography through maps. But what is more important for us is we have to read carefully about the CPEC, China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, which actually connects Kashgar to Gwadar. Anything can be asked about CPEC and anything can be asked about the Belt and Road Forum. So please be careful about this particular issue. Again, it's my request. Some issues, whenever we see, we should not neglect. That is the reason I keep repeating it, and I'll be slow whenever I deal with those type of topics, because we feel high possibility there can be a question from this area. Nothing much to remember. You need to know about Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank, New Development Bank, and also about CPEC along with One Belt One Road initiative of China. Then the next important issue which is coming again and again is about the non-performing assets. Center is actually planning for an ordinance which actually aims at looking into some of the regulations which may actually help RBI and the banks to recover the loans. So they want to avoid another Malya type of incident so that it will be easy for the banks to recover the loans. So if there are other properties of that particular individual or a company within the country, it should be easy for the banks to take them. For that, certain procedures are being spoken about. I would say go back to the economic survey. Again, please go through the steps that we have explained there to look into the NPA issues. Then the next important issue is actually with respect to WTO, where India has actually thought of raising voice against the Buy America project of Trump, which is actually aiming to buy only American goods. When they are actually going for American goods, it's not a problem, but they are trying to prevent other country goods entering into their market, not through increasing the taxes, but through non-tariff barriers. So whenever we read about WTO, we have two things. One is tariff barriers and non-tariff barriers. Tariff is very simple, where you are actually increasing the taxes for that particular product so that it becomes costly in the domestic market. The second thing the WTO says is, whenever there is sanitary and phytosanitary or under certain conditions, we can actually go for certain tariff barriers, non-tariff barriers we call. What exactly is that? For example, let me say that Indian goods is entering into United States and US cannot raise the taxes. So what it does? It says that so this particular product from India is not safe to consume in United States. So they may bring about certain human rights, environmental issues, or they may also talk about the cleanliness associated with a particular product and diseases associated with it, just to ensure that we will be not able to export as many goods as possible to United States. So India wants to go against this. So what exactly is tariff barrier and non-tariff barriers? We may talk about the countervailing duties, quotas, how much can be imported, under what circumstances, national security as a condition, environment as a condition. All these are given, which you will be reading in economy as your basics. But I want to tell you here that what you have to focus is mostly about tariff and non-tariff barriers or measures, right? So please go through this carefully once. Nothing much to explain. Very simple. One, we are talking about tariff means increasing taxes. When we are talking about non-tariff measures or barriers, then we are actually talking about quotas, embargoes, sanctions, levies, and other restrictions, right? Some of the common things are countervailing duties, also known as anti-subsidy duties. That is, for example, India has given some subsidy for exporting a particular product to United States. Take, for example, for textile goods, India has given subsidy of ₹5. So knowing this, United States will come to know that just because a product has to be exported to US, India is giving a subsidy of rupees 5. So now what US will do, US will impose a countervailing duty of rupees 5 on this good, so that the subsidy whichever is given in India can be negated. So this is the countervailing duties, right? So these are important. Then the last important one is actually with respect to GM mustard, that is the Genetic Engineering Appraisal Committee has actually cleared for genetically modified mustard for commercial cultivation. Apart from BT cotton, you have GM brinjal or BT brinjal, which is given commercial cultivation permission. There was some environmental issues, even that is cleared. And now this is the second food crop after BT brinjal to get this, so that you can actually grow mustard in large quantities. As you are aware, whenever you go for this genetically modified crops, the benefit is that it actually helps you to increase the production of that particular crop, and as usual environmentalists and others are actually against this, right? Where the environmentalists say that there are some toxic effects of GM which can be evaluated only in long term. In short term you cannot say what exactly has actually happened. So please don't give permission to this. The experience of genetically modified cotton, which has made the farmers vulnerable, which has actually increased the input cost, is one thing which these people usually say, right? So we cannot come to any conclusion about this whenever few environmentalists and human rights activists, they argue that we will come to know about this only in future. Whenever such things come up, it's very difficult for us to say where exactly we stand. We cannot stop the innovations in science and technology. At the same time, we cannot negate the environmental concerns as well. So if we actually see the BT cotton or the BT brinjal has not shown much negative side effects on the environment as told by these people. So safely we can assume as of now that there is not much impact of this on the environment, but we have to look at other factors like farmers getting dependent on these, because these BT goods or seeds usually have the terminate enzymes or the telomerase enzymes present in them, which actually terminates after 2 to 3 crops. Usually farmers, when they purchase seeds once, they may use it regularly for generations. But with this BT, the biggest problem is that after 2 to 3 crops, again they have to go and purchase, making them vulnerable. This is what they are talking about, high input cost. So guys, it's very, very important for us to focus about these issues carefully, right? So there are few students who are asking where exactly these books are available. Please visit lax.in/testprep. And for all those people who have registered for the test writing, there are few who are writing mains practice. And for those who are not writing and who are willing to write later, we have, as we have promised through the mails as well, that we will be giving you some extension. We have planned to give 1 to 1.5 month extension to all the students, so that now they can focus on prelims, and after that they can write these and send them. People, whoever can write now, please write and send it to us. Others, if it's a burden, then I would say you can wait for some more time. You can actually write. And for those who have not registered, not all the books are available. Over a period of time, we won't be providing any books in hard copy format. So at that point of time, it will be helpful for you if you have registered. So please register yourself only for the books, so that you can actually go through them during your exams. Right guys? Thank you. Thanks a lot. Thanks for watching.